What's up, fight fans? It's your boy Mystic Black here for another. Hold on. Turn that down. I had to have a little music going because it's Fight Island week. Little island in the sun. There we go. What's poppin', fight fans? It's your boy Mystic Black. We are here for another week of Fight Talk. UFC 251 version, Fight Island. Gonna have my boy Nick in here, and we're gonna get it rolling. Shout out to my boy Bert Watson for that one. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday. Of course, there he is.
How you doing, man?
My man, Nick Marcus in the house. We are back another Thursday, another one of the most exciting weekends this
Definitely.
year in the fight world, in whatever world you live in, doesn't matter. Usually this is International Fight Weekend, but we have Fight Island upon us.
Yep. I can't wait, man.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to, before we get into Fight Island talk and some other things, some unfortunate news we had last week. Habib Nurmagomedov's dad, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, passed away due to complications of COVID-19 in Russia. He's been dealing with this for about the past month. His medical condition went up and down. And then, unfortunately, he passed away this last week. So we want to send condolences, of course, to the Nurmagomedov family and everybody who's trained under his tutelage and a lot of people that known him in the fight game. He did a lot for Russian wrestling, Sambo, and a lot of different things. So rest in peace, Abdulmanap. Nick, if you have anything to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was really sad to see because, he had been hospitalized, I believe, since May. And I read up that he had complications. He already had pre-existing conditions with his heart. So I guess, the COVID symptoms just made that worse. And unfortunately, he's a fighter. He was a fighter, but unfortunately, this is the fight that he couldn't win. But it's just really sad because he wasn't just influential to Khabib, but also a lot of Dagestani fighters and Russian fighters, as you mentioned. Yeah. So big influence in the game. And it's really sad to see. And now I have to question if we're even going to see Khabib against Gaethje this year, at least within the year.
Absolutely. And I remember an interview of Habib talking, and he said, without my father, I probably wouldn't be fighting, or I probably won't ever fight again because his dad is just such an important person in his corner, important person in his life. So I can imagine not having that significant person in your life, and as you're fighting, and that's not on your mind, and mentally that could be very draining for Habib. So maybe not. We probably won't. Maybe we won't see it. Maybe it'll influence him and encourage him, and he'll want to do it for his father. We don't know anything of that yet, but we just want to make sure he's celebrated as much as possible because he's a big part of the combat sports community. And, of course, we send our condolences there to the Nurmagomedov family.
Yeah.
So let's get into some news. Fresh news. Yesterday, Mr. Mike Perry was leaving a restaurant in Texas, and he ended up punching an older man, walked outside. Still was pretty hot. A woman was trying to calm him down that was not his girlfriend. I know some people are confused with that. His girlfriend walked out before he did. It might have been her friend or somebody else, but it was not his girlfriend. And he was pretty upset. He said the guy touched him. Something preceded that situation. We don't know what it is. I don't want to make any assumptions. But in the video, we saw Mike Perry hit the older man, knock him out. And this is probably not looking too good for Mike. What are your thoughts, Nick?
I just think the timing's there's never really a good time for that kind of incident. But, especially now where he just had a good result. And now he was probably going to end up, getting some more publicity with the UFC and probably was going to get a good, if not great fight on his next one. And then, I just saw him perhaps progressing, but it's a really bad look. And I wouldn't be surprised if UFC just sort of cuts ties with him because, you go to toe-to-toe with a guy that's, it's like the old saying, pick on someone your old size, and, an older gentleman. And you could just tell he wasn't acting right, too. I don't know what the full story is. I know there's always two sides to it. I don't want to assume what instigated this whole situation, but it's just really sad to see and that he couldn't compose himself in a proper manner, especially being, an MMA fighter, because, that's what it's all about. It's about discipline. It's not about instigating. It's about, if anything, defending, or because it's not just a sport, but it's an art. So it was a really disrespectful, I guess, action towards the sport in itself, and a really bad look on his part.
For sure. There's a lot of situations with MMA fighters, and I'm kind of going to play devil's advocate here to where somebody goes out and they feel like, oh, they can fight that person. They can go after him because they're a fighter. They want to instigate him. Do I think the older guy was trying to do that? I don't think so, but
No.
I don't know. Once again, we don't know the full story. Mike Perry is somebody that gets a little bit heated in situations. That's just naturally him. He's a Florida guy. We know a lot of Florida guys who are
Florida
very
man.
Florida man who's very hot-headed, and we once again don't know the full story. But I just hope I don't think the UFC will cut ties with him because there's a lot of other fighters who have done a lot of pretty bad things,
true.
and I feel like Mike Perry has a lot of like people watching him. He's getting a lot of followers. Like a lot of big things are happening for him. So I think he'll get some kind of maybe a suspension, something in that sense, or the UFC will wait to see what happens after if there's charges pressed against him and a lot of things like that. And I know the authorities look at it harder, especially if they're like a professional fighter. He might get a worse charge in that sense. But once again, don't know. We'll see when it's all said and done. And then after he was done, there was a lot of headlines of him using a racial slur. In this time period, of course, in a sensitive time period, that's going to be something that they look at. But everybody can listen to this in whatever way that they want to. I am from Florida. There is a lot of Hispanic white guys who use the words that he did. I'm not saying it's acceptable, but it's nothing that he hasn't done before because Mike Perry has spoken that way via Twitter. He's spoken that way via Instagram. So it's nothing new. I get it in the sense of the time period that we're in right now, but it's something that I've already seen. So I don't know. I don't know if that should be something that's looked at specifically. More the punch, if anything. But we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, I think it was more. It wasn't really necessarily. I mean, it's inappropriately used, of course.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in a derogatory sense. When you look at the video and everything like that, it's just like you said. It's unfortunately it's a sort of lingo or slang that's often used down here, and I don't think it was, like I said, it was from a position of hate, even though most people I'm sure would want to jump on that given the circumstances that are happening around us at the moment. But yeah, just the act alone that he committed against that older gentleman, he should know better. He should have known better. But then again, we don't know. Maybe when the adrenaline's pumping, we don't know what he was doing before that. These things sometimes play out. So until there's an investigation, we really can't, further elaborate. And I guess we'll see what punishment seems most fit from UFC once they know all the facts.
And some people might look at this in a sense of Conor McGregor when he punched a guy at the bar in Ireland. But what Conor McGregor means to the UFC compared to what Mike Perry means to the UFC, it might be a little bit of a difference. And Conor McGregor has done a lot of things in his off time with the UFC, and look where he is. He's still there. So we'll see what the UFC does with Mike Perry. I hope he gets whatever help he needs to get for those situations not to turn to what it did. We'll find out more details when that comes out, and we'll discuss it next time. I'm sure we'll have more news about it. I'm sure he'll come out and talk about it and say what he has to say. Somebody get an interview with him. Maybe I'll get an interview with him, but we'll see. Maybe. We'll see what happens. But let's get into Fight Island. Saturday, July 11th. We are here. We've been looking forward to this whole entire year. Not whole entire year. We've been looking forward to this since the quarantine has began. Since Dana White has started speaking about it, people didn't think it was real. People didn't think it was on an island. There were so many things that people did not think. What's up, Bert Watson? Bert Watson just came in the room. I just want to say what's up to my man. A lot of reporters were just like, there's no way this is going to happen. It's going to be something fake. They'll end up in Vegas. But no, we have it. Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, where they did it, UFC 112. Bert Watson was there. He knows about it. There's sand there. There's water. It's a beach. We know this. Let's get into it.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. Actually, I almost had a mini heart attack before this interview because I had gotten an ESPN alert, and the headline had read,
I saw the same thing. I was going to text you about it.
Exactly. It said Masvidal out of quarantine. But of course, the only two words I saw in that headline were Masvidal out, and then I just my heart sank, and I was just like, Christ, man, don't do this to me. Not now. Not now. Like, it's so close to the finish line. I mean, God forbid, I'm knocking on wood here, but anything could still happen. Or not happen for that matter, but I think they'll handle it well. I mean, this whole the extreme precautions that they're taking, like the 48-hour quarantine periods and everything like that. I mean, they know what's on the line here. This is probably going to be the biggest event of the year, probably the biggest event for quite some time. because I mean,
Title fights.
three title fights, and not just three title fights, but you know, even the two fights leading up to that, and I guess we'll get to that next. You know, it's not like just all, you know, fillers of for the card. I mean, these are all 5 quality matches.
These are all main eventers if they want to
Yeah,
split those into one, but they have it all on a main card, which is
exactly.
beyond amazing. We had so the fighters had a quarantine for 2 days in Vegas, 48 hours. Then they got to Abu Dhabi, had the quarantine again, 48 hours. I was seeing a lot of posts of the fighters in the hotel. They're doing jump rope on the balcony. They're working. They have like a little workout room connected to their room. They're trying to do everything they can to either cut weight, be active, stay moving. So I feel like this is going to be definitely a factor in how they weigh in tomorrow and how their energy is going up into Saturday. They had to do 5 tests, which they haven't completed all 5 yet, before fight day, which is on Saturday. And there's a lot of people who have to who cut more weight than usual. Like a Paige Van Zandt is usually has a pretty hard weight cut. Jorge is naturally going to have a harder weight cut because he's taking a fight on shorter notice. Usman said he was eating on Friday, so he might have a tougher of a weight cut. So it's going to be definitely more challenging for the fighters compared to any other week.
Yeah, no, definitely. With all the travel and everything, and then especially Masvidal on short notice. I mean, I think he was 192 when he agreed to this whole situation.
That's
so
that's what he
says. I mean, he's probably like, I mean, he looks pretty fit for 192. And
right,
I don't
192.
Think if he was, yeah, and I don't think if he was 192, he'd be eating that pizza either. Even
right?
though supposedly he just took a bite or whatever. But I won't get into specifics. But yeah, it's going to be definitely challenging to lose this weight, especially in a short amount of time. Not just for him, but like all these fighters. You know, like I said, I think they all got there perhaps early on or late last week, and some of them are still coming in with their training staff and everything. So hopefully they lost the weight before coming here, and it's going to just be a matter of maintaining it rather than losing it. But tomorrow's definitely going to be interesting to see who makes the cut and who doesn't, and hopefully everybody makes it.
Absolutely. And then we lost some fighters too and coaches before the event. Unfortunately, some of them tested positive for COVID virus. Mm-hmm. Some of them were clear. Paul Felder, who's a commentator, was clear. He sat next to somebody on a plane that had it, and then he got it. And then, unfortunately, now he has to quarantine for 14 days and can't even fly home because he tested positive for it. So that's unfortunate for Paul Felder. I'd love to hear his commentary during the fight. I hope he gets better. Sending well wishes to Paul Felder. We'll see you soon for sure. But let's get started on this card. First fight we got coming up is Paige Van Zandt versus Amanda Ribas at 125 pounds. Paige Van Zandt is fighting at flyweight. She used to fight at strawweight before. It was a tough weight cut for her, so she came up. Amanda Ribas actually naturally fights at strawweight, but they offered her this fight, and she didn't refuse it. She wanted to do it. It's against a big name. Why not? The odds are very big and different in this fight, which I'm very surprised. Amanda Ribas is a plus 725 favorite, which is huge odds against somebody as experienced as Paige Van Zandt. Amanda Ribas has not fought as great as competition compared to Paige Van Zandt. In my opinion, Paige Van Zandt has fought Rose Namajunas, Michelle Waterson, a lot of big names. So it's definitely a weird odds. If anybody wants to put money on a fight, you should definitely look at that one. But what are your thoughts on this fight, Nick?
Well, I mean, I think Ribas is kind of on, she's on a streak, definitely, even though the quality is not there necessarily in the fighters that she's been against. But she's looking to move up in the ranks. I believe she's 14 right now. She's at the bottom of the barrel. She wants to move on. But something that I found interesting about this particular fight is that this is Paige's last fight on her contract. Yep. So after this, she's going to perhaps be looking at, is she going to look at free agency? If she wins, is she going to be able to get a better contract and stay, on the biggest stage in MMA, which is UFC? So I think sometimes when you have those external factors, it's a lot of motivation that goes beyond just trying to move up or make a bigger name for yourself, like Ribas, I feel, is going to try to do. So, it's definitely going to be a good fight, and I'm interested in seeing it. I think, given the circumstance of Paige's position, I think she's actually going to win this. That's my pick for this fight.
Your pick for this fight, Paige Van Zandt. Yeah, I think Paige Van Zandt's back is against the wall for sure on this fight. Last fight on the contract. She's still making 48 and 48, I believe. She wins this fight, her stock can rise a lot. A lot of people are going to be watching this fight. She's already a popular fighter. A lot of people like to watch Paige Van Zandt. I've never watched a boring Paige Van Zandt fight. She always pushes forward. She always is very scrappy. She's scrambly. She has pretty good striking. Her striking has improved. We haven't seen her in about 2 years because her arm just kept getting broken. She had repeated arm breaks after arm break after arm breaks. Will that be a factor? We don't know. We're going to find out on Saturday. And Amanda Ribas is, just like you said, hasn't fought as experienced people. But I think her most notable win was against Mackenzie Dern, who is a little bit newer in the MMA game, but she's really good, as you can see from her last performance that we saw when she fought at the UFC Amex. But it's going to be very interesting to see what level, how Amanda Ribas looks at 125 too, because she's not going to be having to cut that much weight. So she might have more energy and she might have more power. Her striking's really good. She's very good with the jab and her kicks. Her jiu-jitsu is pretty good as well. But once again, Paige Van Zandt is very scrambly. I feel that this is going to be the upset of the night because that's the biggest odds apparently on the main card. So I am going to agree with you on that one. I'm going to go with Paige Van Zandt on that fight against Amanda Ribas. Guys, I know I'm giving my predictions now, but it's here. Whatever. It's fine. I'm going to release them on Saturday anyway. So you're going to see them. So if you're listening now, you get to get these picks early. So, but you get them on Saturday as well. Next up, we have former UFC strawweight champion Jessica Andrade taking on former UFC strawweight champion Rose Namajunas in the Namajunas versus Andrade Part 2. They fought at UFC Brazil last year, where Jessica Andrade defeated Rose Namajunas by slam. And Rose Namajunas looked really good in the fight. She was up on her about 2 rounds, and jab looked good, striking looked amazing, and then Jessica Andrade had tried to slam her a couple times in the fight, and Rose went from some submissions. She had her arm down, didn't get it. Jessica went for her for a 3rd time, and she slammed her on her head. Unfortunately, knocked her out, and she won the strawweight championship, which she lost to Weili Zhang pretty fast in China
she did.
Right after.
I was going to say that had to be one of the – I'm just shouting out to my boy in Germany that's tuning in right now. So
what's up, Germany? We see you. I can't read that. I'm not sure. I'm not going to butcher that language, but we see you. Oh, you can. There you go. Nick with the German.
So anyways, I mean, that had to be, I think, the shortest title defense I've ever seen. But then again, it was Zhang, you know. So what I'm curious to see is I'm really looking forward to this match because I actually felt that Namajunas was actually winning this fight, or winning that last fight between the two of them. If it wasn't for that slam, and I think she actually will learn from the mistake because I think what happened was that she was holding on for too long, which is why she fell on her neck the way she did, and obviously why Andrade had knocked her out. So I think she's going to learn from that. I think she's going to try to be more patient because we all have seen that, you know, this girl is tough. Like she might be, you know, I mean, they call her Thug for a reason. Like she's exactly Thug Rose. Like she's an intimidating girl. Like maybe not so much with her omnipresence, but just her fighting style. And she's definitely a dominant fighter. I think my prediction is that she's going to actually beat Andrade because she's going to learn from her mistake from last time. And I think she's going to continue dominating her like she did in the first, you know, the first round and the first half of the second round until obviously that slam. So I'm also interested to see if she gets, and I'm also rooting for her. I'm sorry to win because I actually think the winner of this obviously would get Zhang, and we already seen Andrade with Zhang, and obviously she didn't hold up. I mean, granted, anybody can have a better second chance because they know what to do the next time. But I definitely would like to see a new fight, and that being Rose against Namajunas, and Rose against Zhang. But and then not only that, but it's not. I think also too that the loser of this fight, there's a lot of people that they can link up with too. I mean, they can. I'd like to see a rematch with Zhang and JJ, but I think that obviously the deserved person who would get that position is the winner of this fight. But JJ can fight the loser of this fight. Gedalia can try to prove that she's belongs in this.
Worthy and she's still up there.
Exactly.
Within the championship race. Yeah,
right, exactly.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely a lot of names that even the loser of this match can get, and it'll still be a great fight for them.
Absolutely. I think that a big difference in this fight is that it's 3 rounds now. Last time it was 5 rounds. So maybe Rose was taking her time more and was making sure she had energy enough for the full 5 rounds. Now there's only 3 rounds, so she can go full throttle and just be in Jessica Andrade's face. And I don't think she'll be in her face because it's not smart to fight Jessica Andrade like that because
it's not.
She's very good.
She's a bulldog.
She's a bulldog, and she has the power in her strikes 100%. She throws from the waist. It's very different, but I think Rose will still keep her distance, catch her a little bit, maybe even go for a submission, do something completely different with Andrade. No, maybe not go for a submission because she doesn't want to risk getting slammed again because she saw what
Yeah,
happened the first
exactly.
time. So she might have a different strategy here. She's been off for a year. Her mind is in a better place. Andrade hasn't fought since she lost the title as well. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where they're both at in their careers post losing the title because they're both coming off of title losses. So they definitely want to be up there again. They definitely want to go against Zayn. And even if an Andrade loses or Rose loses, no, if Rose loses, she won't fight Joanna because she beat her twice already.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Andrade could possibly fight JJ again because they
Hmm.
haven't fought since maybe two years ago when they fought at
Yeah,
UFC
it's a long
New
time
York.
ago. I think
Yeah,
it's
a long time
211. Yeah.
ago. Yeah, and two different fighters at this point in their career, so that would be an interesting fight. But I
Hmm.
think that Rose is going to get it done. I think that Rose is going to finish Jessica Andrade. She's not going to leave it up to any judges, and we're going to see Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Weili in UFC Fight Island again because I don't think Weili can even come over here
No, I
at
don't
that
think
time
so.
if it would happen later on in the year. So
Right.
I think Rose takes it, and we see Zhang Weili versus Rose Namajunas would be super interesting.
Definitely. I think I really hope that that's the fight that we get next because, like I said, it's just Zhang looks like somebody that kind of like Amanda Nunes and Shevchenko. Like, who's gonna beat this person? And I feel that really the only person that has an opportunity at that is Rose. So I'm hoping
Absolutely.
for that.
Yeah, we want to see that fresh matchup. So that's going to be. I'm predicting that to be maybe a fight of the night because they're going to throw. Jessica Andrade is always going to throw. She's not just going to keep taking it.
Mm-mm.
So fight of the night prediction, I'm going to go with that one, but we'll get more into that later.
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's get into our three title fights. Henry Cejudo relinquished the bantamweight title this year after defeating Dominic Cruz, and he's retired for now until further notice. And now the title is up it's with Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo is fighting his second fight at 135 pounds. He went against Marlon Moraes before, and even though it's a fight people thought he won, he lost. But Peter Yan has been on a winning streak. He hasn't
Mm-hmm.
lost in the UFC yet. He's
Yeah.
looked really good. His striking has looked pretty good. His wrestling's looked pretty good. He's pretty much doing whatever he wants in these fights. Him and Jose Aldo have actually trained together about a
Yeah.
year or two ago, so they kind of know each other. And we're definitely going to see an interesting matchup here, striking wise, because I don't think this is going to go to the ground. 5 rounds.
No, I mean, I think this is definitely going to be an entertaining match. It's not necessarily the match that we wanted. We had spoken about that, I think, the last time and the time before that we
Yep.
felt that, like Cody Garbrandt or Sterling should have gotten this, vacancy at the title shot. But I mean, these are big names. Josie's been at it for a long time. And like you said, Peter Yan has been undefeated in the UFC so far. So, I mean, just for that reason alone, I think Peter Yan's going to continue his streak here just because Josie, obviously he's still a talented guy. He's had the belt before and everything like that. But I think that his dominance isn't just what it was before. So I think Peter Yan's going to continue that you know, fresh record, keeping it undefeated. And I think it's gonna go 5 rounds, which I'm excited for because
Yep.
I don't feel the same way about all the fights necessarily on this card. So you definitely sometimes you want to see these fights carry out, and I think that that's gonna be one of them. But Peter Yan is definitely gonna be the one, in my opinion, that's gonna win that fight.
So you're going with Peter.
Yeah,
All right. I'm gonna
you're
hold
going
on.
Josie.
Let me give it a little breakdown-ish. I think that Jose Aldo has a striking advantage over Peter Yan. I think he's faster at 135. I think
Yeah,
he can counter strike him better at 135. I've seen Peter Yan get caught a couple times by John Dodson caught him when they fought, and I forget Jimmy Rivera caught him when he fought too, and he actually didn't look great against Jimmy Rivera. And I feel like Jose Aldo has fought better competition compared to Peter Yan. Peter Yan kind of fought an old Uriah Faber,
yeah,
barely
that's
beat
true.
Jimmy Rivera, went to decision with John Dodson. So when he went up in competition, he kind of looked, not as good. And Aljamain Sterling has said this before that Peter Yan hasn't fought the competition that he has, which I agree with that. So Peter
Right.
Yan fighting a guy like Jose Aldo, who's very experienced in title fights. He looks better at 135. He's faster at 135. He's harder to hit at 135, and he's not getting hit with heavy shots like he was at featherweight. So he's definitely going to have longevity in the fight. And I see Jose Aldo beating up the legs of Peter Yan. He's going to bring back those leg kicks. and
That's true.
Tyrion's going to have an issue with the hands, and he's going to be scared of that leg kick so much that Jose Aldo will ride it all the way to the 5th round, which he has been there before. I don't see him tiring, and I see Jose Aldo taking this. Judges are going to be weird because we've had weird judges lately, and I'm going to say Jose Aldo, split decision, new UFC bantamweight champion, and he's going to be in the ranks with not that many people who's been champions in 2 different weight classes. So I'm going to ride with Jose Aldo Jr. Aldo Jr. For the UFC bantamweight championship, and then we'll see Jose Aldo versus Aljamain Sterling, which would be amazing.
So,
I would love to see
you
that
think
style class.
You think that the winner of this is going to get, because like, let's say that Josie wins, right? Do you think he actually gets Moraes as a rematch, or do you think Sterling just automatically bumps up anybody?
It's automatically Aljamain Sterling. He's waiting for it, unless Aljamain Sterling says that he wants to take on Moraes again, because Moraes did beat him, and I don't think that would be a smart decision. I would wait for the title shot, get it maybe in the fall coming up, and that would probably be smart. We just actually had some breaking news that just came up. I don't know if
I was going to say,
but seems like Mike Perry's going to be out indefinitely. He's going to seek some help for the altercation that just happened. We'll have more news on that later. I couldn't read the full article, but Mike Perry is going to be out indefinitely. He's going to get some help. So good on Mike Perry. So now we get into the co-main event. That was almost a main event until we had Mr. Jorge Masvidal save the main event. We got Max Holloway versus Mr. Volkanovski. Alexander the Great Volkanovski, who is now the UFC featherweight champion. He beat Max Holloway for the championship this year. Earlier this year. No. It was last year. Totally.
Yeah, it was last year. Right? Yeah, it was last year.
Last year in December. He beat him in 5 rounds. It was kind of back and forth and ended up being a little bit more dominant towards Alexander Volkanovski, depending on how you watch that fight. Max Holloway hasn't really complained about it. He felt he won, but he just wanted to rematch him. Max Holloway's definitely been on a tear through the featherweight division. It's been a long time since he lost, besides his loss to Volkanovski. That's going to be a very interesting fight. What are your thoughts on this fight, Nick?
I think this fight is kind of being overlooked. I mean, I understand that Masvidal Usman is a massive deal, but this fight, and it's true what you said. It all depends on how you saw the fight between these 2 guys last time around. Because Volkanovski, yes, statistically he won, and I think that he did win. I think it was the decision was a fair one. But Max Holloway wasn't necessarily getting completely beat down in that fight either. So I mean, I guess when you look at the numbers, you could see why they went the way that they did. But this is definitely going to be a great match. I think it's going to be very even. Max is going to come in here hungrier than ever, because he's always hungry, but imagine more so now. He wants that belt back. He's got the hair, he's got the hair now. So who knows? Maybe that'll help or something. I don't know. But this is definitely a fight that I think is being overlooked. Although that being said, I still think Volkanovski is going to win this fight, and he's going to retain his title. I think he's just going to continue going on a tear. I hate counting out Max, because I feel like I really can't do that, especially given everything that he's done. Arguably the best fighter in his division ever. So
I just beat Jose twice.
Yeah, exactly. So I just feel that this is sort of like a passing of the baton kind of thing, but one thing I'm definitely excited to see on this particular fight, especially with the no fans, we had mentioned that the last couple of times we've met, these guys in the last fight that they had, they were just jawing off on each other every round. And so now we're actually going to be able to hear that interaction between them. And it's going to be exciting, because these guys, I mean, I think even at one point in the last round, Max Holloway did the spoon, he'll eat up his punches. He doesn't care. He can take it. So this is definitely going to be a very entertaining fight. I think as far as pure fight aspect, I think this is going to be perhaps the fight of the night. Maybe not the result of the night, but fight of the night.
Fight of the night. All right. I'm not mad at that at all. Max Holloway definitely is going to come with a vengeance, to evade that loss that he had. He's going to have a different mindset for sure. They're definitely going to come with a different game plan. Max Holloway, I believe, has had 2 rematches in his life. Dustin Poirier, which he lost to twice. Different weight classes. One was at featherweight, one was at was at lightweight, featherweight. It was early in his career. It was his UFC debut, and then when he lost him in lightweight, it was for the UFC lightweight championship, and Poirier was just on a tear at that point. And then his other rematch was with Jose Aldo, and they fought twice, and he beat him both times. So this is going to be his third rematch in his career. And I feel like in a second fight, Max Holloway always comes and he brings it, and he's going to come forward on Volkanovski this time. He's not going to be afraid of the leg kicks as Volkanovski was hitting him with a lot during that last fight. He's not going to be afraid to go inside with Volkanovski because Volkanovski looked really good every time Max came in, and Max kind of backed out. This time, he's going to push forward, and he's going to bring so much pressure to Volkanovski. I feel that Max Holloway is going to go for that finish around the fourth round. Fourth round, Volkanovski's going to feel it. He's going to get tired. He's going to take a lot of body shots, and I feel like Max Holloway is going to give him way more body shots than he did before because he did not go to the body the first time because he was a little too afraid of the leg.
He was a bit hesitant. Yeah,
a bit hesitant. How is Max Holloway's condition going to look? I don't know because he said he was training at home. Is that true? We don't know, but it seemed like he was because he said he wanted to protect his son, make sure his family was okay, and just like he didn't want to put them in jeopardy. And I believe Max Holloway on that because he's a really good guy, very nice guy, very truthful in words that he says.
Standout guy.
One funny thing he said and on the UFC Embedded was just like, let's do the fight outside, let's have it on the cage outside because, he's a guy from Hawaii and they're used to being outside, doing everything outside. So that would have been pretty cool. We forgot to mention that, by the way. We'll talk about that before the main event. But I'm going to go with Max Holloway, fourth round, TKO, two-time UFC featherweight champion, and he's back on top, and we're going to see a trilogy this fall because what can you do? And we don't have any other contenders in the weight class anyways because Korean Zombie still has to fight, what's his name, Brian Ortega, and that would be probably a number one contenders fight. So I see them having a trilogy this fall. That's my prediction. But we have everybody was asking this question, and we finally have an answer for you guys. I know the UFC was showing the cage being outside, like the fights were going to be outside. That is unfortunately not where the fights are going to be taking place. They built an arena on the inside. If you want to see the video, I will actually post it on my Instagram right after this so you can see the inside of where the fighters are actually going to fight. Unfortunately, the outside is only for training purposes. If they want to train outside, it's up to the fighters because it's very hot there. So it's not a bad idea to trade somewhere that's humid compared to what the inside is going to feel like. So the fights are going to be inside, just so everybody knows. But let's get to what everybody's been waiting for.
That's right.
The Nigerian Nightmare, the UFC welterweight champion, Kamaru Usman, is taking on Mr. 305, Street Jesus, the Street Fighter, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal, who's coming in on short notice. Yeah, there might be a baptism coming up. Who's taking this fight on 6 days' notice. Gilbert Burns fell out of the fight with COVID virus, unfortunately, and Jorge Masvidal stepped in. Colby Covington was vouching to step in too, but when I personally saw both of them vouching to step in, I'm just like, Masvidal probably means it. Colby has not stepped in on a short notice for a fight, so I wasn't really buying that. Gamebred is Jorge Masvidal's name for a reason. I was sure the UFC was going to meet him on his price that he wanted. They did, or close to it, as he said, and now he's in the main event on Saturday, and this is a fight that everybody wanted. We're here.
Yeah, definitely. And you can tell, I think the happiest person involved in all of this is Dana White.
Besides you, right?
Besides me, and basically almost the entire city. Because,
the entire city of Miami.
Because everybody wants to see, Street Jesus baptize Usman. But I don't think. But I keep telling people like, hey, pump your brakes. Like this isn't gonna be a Ben Askren type situation, all right? Like this is gonna be something that could go either way. But that being said, like Dana White, you could tell like just a smile on his face, like he got the fight that the people wanted as he continued, stating and everything like that. So this is just exciting, man. I think, and the bad blood, and then like I don't know if you saw I don't know if this was staged or not. I'm kind of feeling like it's sort of like a WWE tactic of them getting in the elevator.
Oh my God. Exactly. I don't think
exactly.
That literally was. If this is not so many things that are just like the universe giving us, like I don't know what else it is, God, universe, whatever it is, you are giving UFC us all gods. Of this hype. UFC gods, because we prayed to them. We were talking about this last week. We prayed to them. We're getting so many answers. We're not there at the fight yet, so we're not.
No, exactly. So knock on wood again.
Knock on wood again. I have wood. we were just
Yeah.
making sure that this fight goes through. We had Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal literally pass each other. Jorge Masvidal getting on the elevator, Kamaru Usman coming from the upstairs. They didn't see each other. We don't know how it's going to be when they see each other. They're keeping them separate currently right now. We'll find out tomorrow or later on tonight because what's the time difference in Abu Dhabi?
A ton.
I'm not sure.
Let me see right now.
Like I think it might be 15 or 16 hours, but we're gonna get weigh-ins for sure. I think tonight or tomorrow morning or maybe tomorrow night. I'm not sure how that works out. The timing has been very weird with all of this, but
I'm sorry. No, it's 4:43 a.m. right now over there.
4:43 a.m. right now. So if it's that time, then yeah, we'll probably get weigh-ins around in the next 6 to 7 hours, something like that. Because I know they're going to be fighting in the morning. So this is going to be, they're probably all sleeping right now or about to get up because they're going to have to get used to fighting at a certain time in the morning because they're going to be fighting in the morning there and then it's going to be nighttime regular for us. But yeah, we get this fight finally after so much bad blood between Masvidal and Usman. Usman went from saying really good things, respectable things about Masvidal, and then Masvidal ends up beating Askren in 5 seconds, and then all of a sudden they asked Usman about Masvidal, and he's like, who?
Yeah,
And he
the
just
owl.
changed. He kind of the owl. He became
The owl,
the
as Masvidal like to say.
exactly, and then he just started like it kind of just started the rivalry in between them. And Masvidal once again he respected Usman before that, and then Usman started speaking the way that he did, and it kind of gave him it kind of rose his blood a little bit, and he just like what I want that guy. Before he wanted to fight McGregor, he's like no, you know what. I want to beat up Usman now. I need to beat him up. So now he's getting this opportunity on Saturday. I don't think Kamaru Usman should be underestimated. I know everybody's talking about Jorge Masvidal because he's the more popular
Absolutely
fighter.
not.
But we cannot forget about how good Kamaru Usman is. Kamaru Usman is a decorated wrestler. He's a very good striker. He is good everywhere. He's beaten the likes of Tyron Woodley, Damian Maia, Kobe Covington, so many guys in the division, in the upper echelon of that division. We cannot forget how good he is. But we can't forget how good Jorge Masvidal is, especially in this time of his career. It's like a resurgence. It's a resurrection, as he says. He's looked very good. He's been 3-0 last year, beating the likes of Ben Askren, Nate Diaz, and Darren Till in London. I mean, in London. Which
he knocked him out in his home country.
In his home country.
Yeah.
And that's the first time Darren Till's ever been knocked out. So Jorge Masvidal's been looking amazing. So we're going to see a different kind of fighter. People think that Jorge Masvidal hasn't been training. I think he's been training the whole entire time. I honestly think he's been training the whole entire time.
Dude, like if anything, if 2020 has brought us anything, it's uncertainty.
That's
Literally,
right.
bags of uncertainty. So I'm sure that when he saw that he didn't get the fight, he knew that, look, there's still a chance. Even though it's not on paper, there's still a chance that this is going to happen. Because all it takes, even if it was perhaps to fight Gilbert Burns, let's say that the shoe was on the other foot and Usman had gotten the COVID virus. So, I mean, I think he was ready to step up to the plate when called upon. And I'm just happy that it played out the way that it did because, I mean, he's, like you said, it's a resurrection of this guy. I guess both a play on words because of his appearance, because he's street Jesus and everything. But like it also is, like you said, it's a brand new Masvidal that we've been seeing lately. And I think, and what's crazy is that you would think that somebody would be better earlier in their career than they would be later in their career. And it's actually one of the very few rare cases where he's actually better now at this age. And it doesn't seem like he's going to be slowing down either. So it's not like, oh, okay, after this is his last hurrah or something like that. Like, I think he's going to be around for quite some time. Whatever he's doing, it's working. And another thing, too, I guess I'll drop my prediction here. I think Masvidal is going to win. And the reason why is because of the typical cliche, defense wins championships. I know that's usually applied in a lot of other sports, but if you look at this, if you see if you've watched some of what's his name, Masvidal's last couple fights, like older fights, you know, like as he was transitioning into this new fighter that he is now. I mean, his defense is just solid, and he's such a dynamic fighter too, which is I think the advantage that he's going to have over Usman. Whereas, you know, Usman obviously he has his strength with wrestling and everything. Masvidal's strength is whatever it needs to be. He studies his opponent. He sees what he has to do, where he has to adjust, what type of approach to take. And I mean, because you saw it, like everybody thought that perhaps after Ben Askren's knockout that was going to be his go-to, right? Just run up with the flying knee kick and that's it. Like, no, that's not how the game is played. He knows that everybody's different and that everybody deserves and requires a different approach. So I think for that reason that he's going to win. Now, is he going to knock him out in the first round? Is he going to knock him the second? Whatever. If it goes all 5 rounds, I'll be happy about it. I just hope it doesn't go to decision because, like you said, decision making lately, I don't know if it's something. Yeah, it's been weird. I don't know if it's something in the water or whatnot, but it's been weird. So I definitely hope that this doesn't go to decision, but don't expect. I keep telling everybody, look, don't expect an early knockout.
No.
I know that.
Watch. We're gonna come back to this just in case that happens.
Yeah.
We're gonna come back to this. So.
Right. No, and trust me, nobody would love to be more wrong than I am, than I would be. Right? Nobody would love that more than me. But it's not gonna be a Ben Askren type fight. I just want to kind of like put that out there because I know a lot of people are drinking the Kool-Aid of of Jorge and his last couple results and everything like that. Usman is not to be underestimated by any means.
Agreed. Usman should not be underestimated. The way I see this fight going is I am a guy that I feel that Jorge Masvidal's record is he doesn't have an inflated record. There's a lot of people who have fought who they can be 12-0, but who have you fought? Jorge Masvidal has fought so many different people. So many different people from lightweight to welterweight to even guys who are at 185 now. He's been everywhere. He's fought in different places. He's fought in Japan. He's fought in Bellator. He's fought in Strikeforce. He's fought in the UFC. He's fought so many different guys. You see those 13 losses, and you're just like, oh, my God, he's a journeyman. He is not a journeyman. No. And I hate that word journeyman, too, because if you fought as many people as these guys has fought, that's not a journeyman to me. That is a tough person. That's a tough fighter who has fought the who's of people in their career. That's a BMF. That is a BMF. Exactly. He can even look like an Alistair Overeem's record. He has double-digit losses, but he has fought the who's who of people. Anderson Silva has even had double digits of losses. And look at him. That's one of the greatest fighters ever. So we shouldn't be looking at that. Just because a fighter is 19-2 doesn't mean that they're the best fighter ever. Just because they're 12-1, 14-1 like Usman is, doesn't mean he's the best fighter ever either. But it's depending on who they fought. So Jorge Masvidal should not be underestimated for that or be called a journeyman for that because he's fought the who's of people in his whole entire career, if you look at that, especially in the UFC. So I feel that Jorge Masvidal is in a different stage of his career. The way that Usman fights, Usman is a guy who he prefers a guy to go backward because he wants to push you against the cage and he wants to take you down. Go for that single leg, grab onto that double, push you backwards. Masvidal is not a guy who moves backwards. He moves forward. Masvidal is a guy who used to trade with the likes of a Colby Covington. Colby Covington moved forward on Kamaru Usman, and look how that fight went. It went all 5 rounds, and Colby Covington was catching Usman a lot of times as they were fighting. I feel that Jorge Masvidal has better striking than Colby Covington, and I feel that if he catches Usman, it's not going to be good. I don't know if he'll knock him out, but it's going to be more. There's definitely going to be more
of an impact.
More impact compared to Colby Covington, and I feel like Kamaru Usman is going to want to prove so much to whoever's watching, whoever he wants, the crowd, the people, his coaches, that he can stand up with the Jorge Masvidal because he feels that Jorge Masvidal is not at his level. Is he just talking crap? I think he is because he knows Jorge Masvidal is a very good fighter, and I know he knows that. I know he just wants to do it to rile him up, but Jorge Masvidal is for sure up there with him. Usman is an amazing fighter. He's good everywhere, but I just see Jorge Masvidal is just so perfect for him right now, and it's just the doors are wide open. So many things has happened in this past year for him to just complete that his career right there with a win against Kamaru Usman for the welterweight title on 6 days' notice. It's just set up so perfectly. It reminds me of when Matt Serra beat Matt Hughes when he filled in. When Matt Serra beat George St. Pierre when he filled in for Matt Hughes because he was injured, and he came in and he knocked out George St. Pierre. Who thought he was going to knock out George St. Pierre? Absolutely nobody. But it was just so set up for a guy like Matt Serra that nobody thought would win. They called him a journeyman too because of his record, and he went in there and he beat George St. Pierre. Yeah. So I feel that this is going to be one of the most competitive fights of the night. I don't think it's going to be an easy win for anybody. Usman has had a full camp. Masvidal has had somewhat of a full camp. So it's going to be very interesting what we're going to see. My prediction for this fight, you're going to have to find out on Saturday. That's the only one that I'm not giving. I know. You're going to have to find out on Saturday the prediction I'm going to give. And I will give a full explanation to why I feel this way. I'll put out a video and kind of break down the fight. A little short thing for you guys, for newer MMA fans, people who are just getting into these fights, of what I feel about this fight. So you'll see. You can rewatch this, but I'm not going to give that prediction yet. Saturday, you'll find that prediction. I can't give that one yet. I cannot give that one yet. I got to see the weigh-ins. That's the way I am, especially with main events. I need the fight to happen. I don't want to jinx it. I'm nervous, but whatever. We're going to be okay. But we are definitely pumped for this card, guys. 251 Fight Island on Saturday. We are open to taking some questions now, if you guys have any. Loser fights Colby. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, no, another thing I was just going to mention that I forgot to before is that if you look at it, too, that Usman has actually more to lose in this situation than, obviously, besides just the title. But
I forgot to mention that, too. That's right.
But just recognition as well, because, I mean, the guy coming in late is always going to kind of get a pass. It's sort of like soccer, you know, like the goalie always gets a pass. Right, exactly. The goalie is always going to be the guy that's going to get the pass because this guy, it's so simple that you should be able to, you know, get the ball into the net. And this is a similar situation, right? This guy's coming on 6 days notice, even though we all pretty much know that he's been training this entire time. And he's been not just training, but training for Usman. And on top of that, like you said, like he's just kind of got this whole, it's funny because Usman is the champ, but it seems like the fan base is actually behind Masvidal. And I don't know if it's because he's looked at as a journeyman and that automatically, gives him the title of underdog or whatnot. But, I mean, there's just something, like I said, there's something in the Kool-Aid that everybody's drinking that's getting behind Masvidal. I don't know if it's because of, you know, the street fights and everything like that. Just seeing his journey, speaking about journeyman, just seeing his journey from where he came from and just imagine, just like we had spoken about this a while back ago, about would we want McGregor or Usman for Masvidal? And as much money as he would have gotten, and we all know how important money is to Jorge Masvidal. We all know that. But this is definitely something that sometimes is, I guess you could say, is just priceless. To be able to have the championship belt. The BMF belt is cool and everything like that. I don't want to give it any less recognition that it deserves. But this is the belt that he's fought for so long. Glad that he finally got this opportunity. So, I just wanted to say that pretty much that, you know, it's kind of a win-win situation for Jorge.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a win-win for him because he loses, he still got the money that he wanted to get, and he took the fight on 6 days' notice, so he has that. There's more excuses, if you want to say, for him compared to Usman, but we still got to give Usman.
He's not an excuse guy, but
he's not an excuse guy. But even though we got to give Usman a lot of credit for taking this fight on short notice, because not that many people are saying yes to a fight like this. Kobe didn't say it. Usman definitely deserves a lot of credit. People are forgetting that because they love a guy like Masvidal so much, and Usman had a really good fight against Colby Covington. If you watch that fight, that is such an amazing fight. You should watch that fight, everybody. Get ESPN Plus. Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman. Very good fight to watch. Yeah. If he loses, does he get a rematch? It depends. If it's a really good fight and it goes to the judges and it's a weird split decision or something like that, 100% he gets a rematch, and it will be at a later date and he'll have a full training camp. If Kamaru Usman dominates him, he's not getting a rematch. Depending on how the fight goes, that'll decipher if he'll get a rematch or not. Loser fights Colby Covington. Nick?
I mean, I don't think that's a bad deal, right? I mean, first of all, the one thing that Usman and Masvidal have in common is that they abhor each other as much as they do Colby Covington. So that's going to make for an entertaining fight as well. So let's say that Masvidal loses, whatever, he had short notice and everything like that. You're still going to get an entertaining fight between him and Colby because, I mean, they even used to be teammates. So you're going to have this, you're still going to have this big sell for that type of fight. And then let's say that Usman loses, right? Maybe he doesn't go automatically back for a rematch with Masvidal. Maybe he's looking to, warm up before getting back into that rematch. And I think that a rematch with Covington would actually be good for him before going to a title fight, right? Because I also got to figure that whoever's going to fight, or let's say whoever wins, right? They're going to get burns. Yeah. So they're going to get burns. So it doesn't matter who wins. So as far as a rematch, I don't see that happening right away anyways. Because of that. Burns is going to get a title shot with one of these guys, whoever wins. So I think loser with Colby makes sense, and then maybe later on they'll have a rematch.
I think the loser, depending on who the loser is, I think Gilbert Burns actually fights before he fights for the title because he's a guy who likes to stay active. he's not just going to sit down and
That's
just,
true.
oh, no, I'm going to wait for the title shot. He said in an interview 2 days ago, he's like, no, if they offer me a fight, I'm going to take it and I'll keep winning and I'll earn my way back to that title shot no matter what. So I feel Burns will be pretty active. I think they give Colby Covington Gilbert Burns. And if Colby Covington beats Gilbert Burns, he'll be #1 contender. If Gilbert
Yeah.
Burns beats Colby Covington, he has it on his record. So I think if Masvidal wins this fight, I see Masvidal fighting Colby Covington. I feel like that's going to be a really good fight. And if Usman wins this fight, I see Usman facing Gilbert Burns for the welterweight title. So only if Masvidal wins, I see him facing Colby Covington. But we'll see because I'm not sure what fights Colby Covington wants to take. We'll find out if he does an interview soon. He's very weird with his words. We don't actually know what he actually wants to do or if he's injured or where his training camp is because he no longer trains at American Top Team. So that's another thing too. We don't even know where he's training. He said he has Colby Covington Enterprises. So we'll see what happens with him. Of course, I wish him good luck. You know, it's hard leaving a team like that, an amazing team like that, because all the coaches there, your Mike Browns, your Din Thomases, you know, so many good guys over there that they have. That sucks, but unfortunately, that situation couldn't calm down, and it just got worse every single time, and it's unfortunate for that to happen. But
yeah, it seemed like a pretty toxic relationship. I mean, even Jorge had mentioned that, you know, basically that he just brought a toxicity to the environment. You know, like everybody's just trying to train, and he wasn't really a respectful individual. So, you know, it's kind of hard. And maybe, you know, like I said, there's always going like what we said about Mike Perry. There's always two sides to a story. So. Maybe he didn't feel it was a good fit. Who knows what happened? But yeah, he's kind of like finding where he's going to be at next before you know he takes on a big fight, especially against somebody like Usman or Masvidal.
Absolutely. Let's see if we had any other questions. You guys can ask questions now if you want. We have another about 7 minutes, 8 minutes. Scrolling all the way up. My God, we had a lot of people enter. Questions. Haha, we have a live name that somebody recommended. Full Mystic is the name of this duo. I like that. That's
yeah.
Full Mystic. We'll think about it. We'll talk about it. If anybody has any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. But
you know, actually,
yeah.
I'm sorry. No, I was gonna mention that going back to the co-main event, right? Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. So I actually thought that winner should get what's his name? Zabit Mahomed Sharipov, and that the loser perhaps gets Josh Emmett.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Whenever Emmett comes back, because unfortunately,
of course,
he's probably going to be out until late this year or probably next year. But I agree with that. I like that matchup a lot for the winner and the loser. I want to see Zabit fight Yair Rodriguez first, though, before he fights for a title, because in Zabit's last 2 fights, he's fought very high caliber competition in Calvin Kattar and Jeremy Stevens. In that every third round, he looked tired. So I don't know if it's a weight cut that's killing him. He's a bigger featherweight, but I want to see him against a guy like Yair, who's very experienced, really good, has dynamic striking just like Zabit. So I would be a good let's do a little tournament. Zabit, Yair, and then we have Korean Zombie and Brian Ortega, and whoever wins those fights fight each other, and then they fight for a title. That would be amazing. A little featherweight tournament.
Yeah, I like
we
to
got
see
a lot
that.
of good guys in that top 6 of that division. Any word from Khabib? No word from Khabib. Khabib has not spoken yet. Not surprised that he hadn't spoken. He lost his father, so I don't see Khabib talking for a little bit of time. So we got to give him that respect to just to take care of his family and cope for this. So no word from Khabib yet, but hopefully he's doing okay. And once again, we send our condolences to the Nurmagomedov family. And thank you for that. And I'm happy to see guys like Connor reach out, and a lot of guys that he had prior issues with, Tony Ferguson, reach out and relay nice messages to him. And it's good to see the MMA community come together in this time of unfortunate circumstances that have happened. So glad to see that. We're strong. We're strong here in this MMA community. Any other questions, guys? You have about I want to say 3 or 4 minutes left.
That ticker hasn't started yet.
The ticker has not started yet, which I am
surprised.
For the first time ever, the ticker has not began. But this is going to be on my page right after. I promise I'm not making that mistake I did last time. I'll keep saying it. It will be on my page right after this. A couple other interviews on the page as well. We're here every Thursday, guys. I hope you guys watch the fights on Saturday, UFC 251 Fight Island. It's going to be probably the best card we see this year. We got 3 title fights on that card. We got Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman, Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski, Josie Aldo Jr. Josie Aldo Jr.
Gotta pronounce it correct. I got my Brazilian friend from Curitiba here listening in, so you gotta pronounce it correctly.
Gotta pronounce it correct. Versus Petr Yan, Rosa Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade, Paige Van Zant versus Amanda Hebus. We got a great card, guys. Check that card out on Saturday. I might pop in and say what's up to you guys on Saturday while the card's going on. I hope everybody's staying safe. Wear your mask, people. If you are living here in the United States, please, or down here in South Florida, protect yourself and protect everybody else. You're doing a good thing for the community. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week. Keep it safe. Keep watching everything in this MMA world because amazing things are happening. UFC has events all the way up until September, so don't say you don't have anything to watch on a weekend because you do. We will be here every Thursday. If something happens, we might be here on a Sunday. We might be here on a Tuesday. We don't know, but we'll see. Nick, of course, thank you so much for coming on as per usual.
No problem, man.
Guys,
Everything.
appreciate you guys. We are out.
One last thing.
Yeah.
Who's winning the main event?
You'll find out next time, Nick. Good try.
I think I saw that answer.
Good try. Not getting that answer from me. I'll see you guys later. Mr. Blackout. Boom. Boom.